This week's episode is sponsored by Dollhouse of Tampa Salon and Studio. Find your inner doll. They offer quick weaves, sew-ins, and much, much more to fit every occasion. Need a wig? Selena's got you. She will customize a unit just for you. Book your next appointment on Booksy today. Did someone say nails? Honey, forget the Bayhive. Contact Queen Bee herself. She offers customized designer nails and even designer press-ons that she will customize and ship to you. Braids, and even twists. Book with Tiffany right on Facebook. Find your inner doll at Dollhouse Tampa Salon and Studio. Tampa. This week's episode is sponsored by Hustle and Bling. It don't mean a thing if you ain't got that bling. Lovely paparazzi designer pieces for only $5. That's right, $5. And don't worry about it if the kid gets in the jewelry box. They're only $5. Make sure you catch Allison Mondays and Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays live on Instagram and Facebook, promoting some of these wonderful fashion fixes that you'll enjoy. And if you miss it, check out the website. Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that bling. Hustle and Bling. Stay in Love TV is your production to distribution solution to getting your message seen and heard. Having your own TV show with Stay in Love TV has never been easier than now. Stay in Love TV gives you the power to share your message with the world. Stop watching TV and start being watched on TV. Stay in Love TV offers real-time multicasting, all with one click. This opportunity puts you on the world stage with an audience of over 200 million. In addition to your low monthly subscription fees, you will also receive monthly network coaching and training from the network itself to ensure that before your first show premieres, you are set up for success. We at Stay in Love TV bring over 20 years experience in sales, marketing, advertising, and business development. Stay in Love TV, purposeful entertainment driven by love, empowered with passion, fueled with faith. Go to www.stayinlovetv.com and let's get started.
This is our kingdom come. Let the spirit of the Holy One pass over. Let your peace cover the earth. Lord, let your will be done. This is the time to take a stand, to let the world know that you can. You can face tomorrow, but today is the day that you say, I will reign. I will reign. I will reign.
Hello, everyone. How are you? I am Vanessa Klinger, your intuitive life strategist and life coach motivator.
And I am Michelle, your motivator and your spiritual evolutionist. Namaste. I bow to the divine presence, purpose, and power in you.
Namaste, co-host. How are you, my love? How you doing?
I am wonderfully grateful. That's all I can say. It's just wonderfully grateful.
Wonderfully grateful. Yep, wonderfully grateful. Another week and the days are going by so quickly, and so much is happening, and but like I keep telling everyone, I'm like, pop you some popcorn and enjoy the show, because if you are rested in who you are, if you are operating in love and you are allowing spirit to rule and reign in your life, all this stuff you worrying about, this and that and whatnot, we don't know the day nor the hour, but I can tell you one thing, we do know the times and the seasons.
And you have to be real conscious of that and stop looking through your physical eyes and begin to resonate on your inner eye to actually experience what is really happening.
Right.
Because it's not what it looks like. It's what it is, or what God created it to be. And so we've been so conditioned to looking at it their way.
Mm-hmm.
The inorganic ones, that the organic ones have a hard time believing or accepting the change or the shift that's happening. So it can be overwhelming. It can be a little difficult. But I promise, if you stop resisting the change and allow the change to happen, it will be an easier transition. Um, but you can't look at it with the physical eyes, because you'll get real disgusted, you'll get depressed, you'll get anxiety, you'll get worried, and you'll get stressed. And so I've just chosen not to look at the illusion.
And you can call me delusional if you want to, but I'm going to stay in my happy place.
Yeah, because there's no other place.
There should be no other place where
There's
you
no
are.
other place. There's no other place. We were just told there was another place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there's really no other place, but adjusting to knowing or remembering what you already know. Sometimes a challenge, but it's not difficult if you stay in the presence. If God is going to show us, not if God, when God shows us trouble afar off, we have to be available to receive the message. But if we're not available, if I see a fire at your house and I'm calling you, telling you it's a fire at your house, and you looking at me like you don't get it because you're in a twilight zone, then a lot of things can happen between that space. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight as we dive into this church mind. That's what I call it, this church mind.
Church mind.
That most of us have gone through, including myself. So we can't be hard on the people that have not arrived to the space and the place that we've arrived to, because everybody arrives at a different time.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's going through a different thing in their life. And what causes you to arrive will be based on what your purpose is and what God has given you to do. So he's a waiting God, but he's also a timing God, but he's not really in time. He's in eternity. So his eternity timing is not the same as space timing.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was one of my hardest challenges. I was going through a multitude of some of my experiences, is that I was always trying to figure it out. And I get frustrated when things didn't pan out the way I thought they would. And I was resistant to the process of what was going on. I was resistant to how everything was. And I took myself out of the space of trust and got into that space of frustration, doubt, worry, and it seemed to amplify the experience. And what I've learned, the last experience that I had, I just, as it progressed, I just allowed myself to yield to the process and immediately dove into what I knew. And I'm recall of a sermon I heard years ago about every trial or situation that you go through, you always resort back to the last level of awareness and spiritual awareness of where you were, And I thought about that because throughout my journey, you remember, it's a process now. And I'd be going through something, and first thing I do is I get drunk or do some drugs or something, and they call it backsliding. And I backslide and go back. And as time progressed, I found that I would resort back to what I had done my last experience similar to that. And the most recent one that I experienced, what I did was I dove right into meditation and going within and feeding my soul and raising my vibration and all of that. And I look back on it now, and I just saw how Grace, my best friend, was just there the whole time. And and I was surrounded by love and kindness. And I just saw God through so many people, and his grace being expressed through so many people, that it made the experience less spiritually painful. and I'm so grateful for it now. And now I can share it with people that, it don't matter what you're going through. If you allow yourself to get back into position, that position of trust, that position of, and if you find it that you're doubting and not trustful, then you have to do what's necessary to get into that space. And I highly suggest and recommend that you go and you do meditation. You find whatever it is that gets you your vibration out into that space of joy, because we know that the joy of the Lord is my strength. That joy within you is going to give you the strength to power through that experience and cycle through that experience so much easier. It's going to seem effortless, and you'll find that you'll cherish every moment of that experience. And the next thing you know, you'll be on the other side of something better. So yeah, the challenges, they come to make us strong. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, this week was every day. I don't try. I experience something different with God because I allow myself to be quiet and listen. And this week I kind of had to repent. And when I say repent, it's not what quote unquote people see as a sin, but I had to return back to my original state. And I had to apologize to God because I had so much focus on things that I said I needed to happen and trying to figure out how it was going to happen. And I recognized that I was not totally trusting the source. And so I was more looking at the created than the creator. And so I kind of had, it's like one of the churches, you lost your first love. It was like I started loving stuff that I wasn't really conscious of outside of me and making it greater than what was inside of me, and seeing things as a challenge or a problem when I am the solution. And so I had to go back. And to me, that was a born again spirit. To me, that's what being born again means, to be able to go back to the Father and just be that prodigal son that recognized you had everything while you were there. Why did you even go outside? You didn't have to go spend anything. You just had to be in total trust of what God is doing. And when we try to figure it out, it's just mental chatter. Mm-hmm. It's no solution at all. Mm-hmm. It's just babbling. And so I had to go back and redefine my relationship with God, and knowing that I don't care what I have to face, he's already prepared the solution, and he's already prepared me for the solution. So there's no need in me trying to figure it out. And we say, don't try to figure it out. He's already worked it out. Looking at things that's already done is where my mindset has to stay, regardless of what happens. So that was an experience for me this week. And I want to encourage other people that no matter what you're facing right now, you have the solution working inside of you. It says, see the king. And then the kingdom comes and everything behind it. So you have to stay focused on the king, because that's the supplier is greater than the demand. I promise you. God don't run out of power. He didn't run out of stuff. And if he runs out of stuff, he'll create the stuff all over again. So we have to stay in that mindset.
We have to stay in that mindset. We have to continue to rest in that.
Yes.
And I found that I incorporated into one of my affirmations was I'm grateful for the solution in my life. I'm grateful for the solution that's a part of this experience. I'm grateful that the solution will manifest itself. I'm great, and what I was doing was I was creating.
Yeah.
I was being intimate with that affirmation.
Yeah.
And when you're
seeding it, you're seeding it for the creation. And you may not physically see it, but when you go into that realm that you just went into, you can see everything clearly. So as we go through this transition, even with the Superior Court overturning that and people losing their mind about it, just know that God is shifting back to his way. and you just flow with his way. Everything, I promise you, everything's going to be fine. I know it don't look fine, don't smell fine, don't even feel fine. But I promise you, if I be a woman of God, everything, that song says everything is going to be all right. It is, because you're responding to an illusion, and that's going to pass away. So everything has to be all right. Another thing that happened to me this week is that God said your soul has come back to complete something that it didn't finish in the last body that it was in. So anything that you're struggling with, your soul was struggling with that before, but it has come back to perfect that.
Right.
And so you have to see what it is that you have a struggle with and say, okay, my soul has done this before. So my soul knows the way. So I'm going to have to reconnect with my soul. Oh my
Yes.
God. That was like,
Yes. I
yeah,
love this. I love
yeah,
what Spirit is doing and with you, Michelle. Yes, because he's bringing that revelation to you and he's preparing you for that next chapter, that
yeah.
great chapter that you're crossing over into. And the wonderful thing about it, if we could just accept as these downloads are coming to us and trust that it's all working out for my good, and you know, and people think, okay, all right, I'm not gonna get on a tangent, but when you realize this place ain't our home.
It's almost like you're on a vacation and you go away and you stay at a hotel and you recognize that this is just a temporary trip and you're got to head back home. And so you're gonna have the fun that you need to have while you're on that vacation. But in the back of your mind, you know this is not my home. And the place that I'm going to, I'm journeying back to, is what God has established for me. This is just a road trip. And this is not an opportunity for us to get all satisfied with the road trip, because we are just a movie and the scene is changing daily. And you get caught up on this scene and we done went on to something else. And so it's like you said, it's not our home.
It's not our home, baby. And if you realize you are on a journey, it's like when you are on a road trip, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're driving and everything seems nice, sun, and all of a sudden here comes a storm. But you got to keep powering through that, because on the other side of that storm there's more sunshine. Then the next thing you know, there's an accident, and then you see people fighting on the side of the road. All kind of experiences and drama and scenes that you see, but you don't have to stop. You don't have to engage with that. You keep going in the direction of where you intend to go, and that is to a better place, because this place is not our home. People, please you got to realize that. When you do that, then you'll know, okay, I'm doing my work as unto the Lord. My payday is coming on the other side. This is just an experience. I am on assignment. And when you get into that space, you know beyond a shadow of a doubt, if you're on assignment, if you are doing your work as unto the Lord, your assignment, the reason why you're here, everything you need is going to be provided for you. Everything. I'm in the Army, baby. I'm on assignment. I'm currently in South Florida here, and I don't know how long I'll be here, but when the time comes and say, okay, here's your next assignment orders, let's go. I know everything that I need is going to be wherever my next assignment state is.
But we've just got to redefine what trust means to us. We say I would trust in the Lord, but trust means you have no thought for anything. You just know that that's going to be there at the time that you need it. And that's what I'm facing right now. And I kind of share things with people that I'm facing so that they can see an example. I'm just not talking just to be talking. I'm talking because this is what I'm walking. And so it's an opportunity, because I haven't worked since 2020 on a so-called quote unquote job, but God has been faithful. And now as I face a situation with a possibility, what they say, of eviction, I know that there's nothing that by any means can destroy me. If, let's just say, I am evicted, so there's something else on the side of the eviction. So whichever place that I find myself, I'm finding it in trust. So that's why I'm going back to the Father. I'm going to stay with the Father, because the Father has everything And so I'm not going to move from that way of thinking. Whether I'm in this house, another house, a hotel, wherever I am, I'm still with the Father. So it's just an encouragement, and it's a building block for you to be able to go higher and higher based on everything that you're facing.
And we got 2 more minutes. The thing is, okay, so here's the thing, people. We get so wrapped up in stuff, right?
Yes.
But I am a living witness. I'm a living witness. Everything that I have had to walk away from, I've always crossed over into something better. Even when I was being resistant, even when I started tripping out, I always found myself into something better. Why? Because when you are doing your work as unto the Lord, and you are traveling, and you know who you are and whose you are, everything in this house, besides the stuff I done bought over the last 2 years, I walked right in here with nothing but my clothes and a hot dog and my computer.
And yes, you just have to be grateful in whatever state you find yourself in. Paul says, I've learned how to be abound, and I've learned how to be abased. That means I've been abased before, I've been abound before. So there's no other way that I don't know of. I have been instructed to do whatever I need to do. Now, I am not afraid of anything that could happen to me because I'm in the arms. As long as I stay in the arms, it's all right. So God is not short of the rent that they're requiring me to pay by the time they're requiring me to pay it. So I'm not going to try to figure it out.
All I know is this. If whatever it is, whoever is going through, whatever you're going through, if you are putting in the work, if you're putting in the work, that means your last experience, you were not as spiritually equipped.
Right.
You were at a different vibration.
Yeah. So I have leveled up. I've leveled up, and I know
it's time to level up, baby. That's all it is to it. It's time to level up.
Yeah.
Every time you get to that situation where you're like, oh, I must be getting ready to get promoted. Sure enough, I did. I had to take a dip because I had to go back and work on some karma stuff. 6 months I was there, but I was surrounded by love, baby. I didn't want for nothing. Put on another 15 pounds because I was eating. Mom was cooking every day. It was sure enough good food. I was surrounded by love and my family. And I also addressed a karma issue. But honey, when I yielded my hand under the mighty hand of God, I'm less than a minute by car from that house I was in 6 months ago. So every time I was coming here every day, I was driving right by this house. I didn't see it. Why? Because I had a surprise coming.
Yeah.
But sure enough, when the time is right, Spirit pulled back the curtain. I walked up in here. I was like, oh my goodness. Everything I needed and then some. Yeah. So hold on. They say hold on to God's unchanging hand. That's right. Hold on to Spirit's unchanging hand and let him guide you to your next. Let him guide you to that next experience that you want to have. Because if you've been putting in the work, it's time to level up. It's time to level up.
And the seeds that I planted, they have to harvest because God has set a principle. And I have planted seeds in people, not because I want the glory, but because I know God said, if you do my work, then what you work on for me, I'm definitely going to work on for you. So this is not a time to worry. This is a time to harvest the seeds that you planted. If you've been planting good seeds, they have to come up. This rent has to be paid. How it's going to be paid, who's going to pay it, ain't my business. But it has to be paid based on I've been doing the work of God. And so God is faithful. He's just. And I'm not finna sit around here crying about it, thinking about it, worrying about it. I'm just going to be about the business of God. And he said, if the birds don't worry about where they're going to sleep, where they're going to eat, what greater thing for me not to be concerned about it. So that's my little situation that God has been working on me with. He's been speaking to me, and he's been giving me confidence in me. I didn't even know I didn't really have the confidence in me. I didn't know that. It's just he's just showing me so much stuff. Now, I'm not boasting, but I know what I do. I'm good at what I do at.
Well, somebody shared this to me, and I stand by it. That whatever you've been doing the last 2 years, whatever it is, every time you learn something and adopt something new, get ready for a test. That's all it's doing. Ready for a test, and when you humble yourself on the mighty hand of God in that test, you've already passed. It's good to go. It's good as gold.
And I had to go back to every recording that I've done, every word that I've said, not knowing that each recording, God was planning a piece of the puzzle for me to be where I am and to stand on what he's already told me and said to me. And I was saying it to other people, but now I have to go back and say it to myself. So I'm going back to every recording and I'm listening to every word that I said that God told me to say, and it was just for me.
Awesome. Yep. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was our intro for tonight. Tonight, we're going to be diving into Thyatira. I always like that name. I'm going to, in the station break, I'm going to look up Thyatira and see what that means. So grab yourself a refreshing beverage and come back and join us, because we're diving into the 7 churches of Revelation this season. And tonight, we're going to be speaking to Thyatira, the church of Thyatira. So stay tuned. Get your copy of Mental Equation, available on Amazon and on Stay in Love TV, today's Michelleology.
7.
Welcome. You have just entered today's Michelleology. We provide you with insight that's needed to take a deeper look into your consciousness and provide tools that will open up the door to your higher self. Get ready for a now awakening. Remember, once you go in, you'll never be without. That's right. Once you go in, you will never be without. Today's Michelleology. Tomorrow, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Stay in Love TV. And check out Michelle's successful seller, Mental Equation, available on Amazon and also on Stay in Love TV / Today's Michelleology on her page. You can request the book right there and get shipped out to you. But tonight, we are talking about Thyatira. And I didn't have time to look it up during the station break because my mouse got stuck. And you can still look it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. I just need to figure out. Okay, yeah. So, Revelation chapter 2, verses.
Perfume, a sacrifice of labor.
What's it say?
It says a perfume, a sacrifice of labor.
Perfume. Oh, a sweet smelling fragrance. Mm-hmm.
And a sacrifice of labor.
Yep. So the church, you want to open it up about Thyatira? How you want to go with this, Coles?
We're just flowing. If you got something to open up with, that's fine. And I'll feed off of you. Or
okay. So it says, I'm aware of all your good deeds, your kindness to the poor, your gifts and service to them. Also, I know your love and faith and patience, and I can see your constant improvement in all things. Yet,
but
I'll put this up here too. Let me see if I can put it under. There we go. Nevertheless, I have this against you. You tolerate that woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophetess. By her teaching, she misleads my servants into sexual immorality and the eating of food sacrificed to idols. I have given her time to repent of her immorality, but she is unwilling. So I will cast her on a bed of suffering, and I will make those who commit adultery with her suffer intensely unless they repent of her ways. I will strike her children dead. Revelation 20:23, NIV version.
That's crucial, to hear those words. Now I'm thinking, like, the wording, like when we talked to Jay last week, and he was talking about the English language is one of the youngest languages of
Mm-hmm.
all languages. And a lot of times the wording that we are using is the closest thing they could get to what it was in.
Translated. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so the things that it's saying it has against us, Jezebel has been cited as just a loose woman. And so I want to put that as Jezebel is a loose mind. So that way you cover everybody. It's a Jezebel is not just a woman, but it's a loose mind.
Well, okay, let's take it back now, co-host, because you're the one that enlightened us on the word prophet. Is this?
Yes. So
So
it's a loose mind. It's a loose mind, not starting with the heart first, but just going with whatever the mental chatter that's going on inside, based on their own way of thinking and not the consciousness of Christ thinking. So a lot of people that are in this church mind, and I always want to keep it on the mind because everything is based on how we think.
right.
Our thought pattern, our creativity comes from our thought pattern. And so Jezebel is just your way of thinking in the illusional way of what you've been conditioned to do by outside force.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't get our minds repent, it says he's given her plenty times. He's given that mindset plenty times to repent. But a mindset like that doesn't want to repent, a lot of times doesn't know that there's an opportunity to repent. Some people think they've done stuff so bad that God couldn't possibly accept them back because they're doing a judgment according to like man would judge you, not the way God does. All of that's been covered. So I think what we have to do, if we're going to be a prophet over our own lives, and we're going to be the government that's on our shoulders, we're going to have to come out of the Jezebel mind of thinking on an outside way, in a temporary way, and an illusional way. So I think that's what we've all done that. We've all done that. And when we recognize that 95% of our thoughts are somebody else's, and we don't have our own thoughts.
Hence Jezebel right there. She claiming to be a thought, claiming to be a prophetess, a thought that's supposed to be coming from God. Right. That's why in your early stages in your walk, you be like, God, is that you, Lord?
Right.
Help my thoughts, Lord. Help my. No, when you finally get in sync with the God in you, thank you, Reverend Ike. When you finally get in sync with that, you know your thoughts, and you can recognize when a Jezebel thought tries to knock on your door to invade your intellect and your mental, your mind. You know, you can recognize it. Why? Because all you've been doing is entertaining God's thoughts, your thoughts, the God in you, those uplifting, edifying thoughts. That's all you know. So when something, it said, my sheep know my voice, and a stranger they will not follow. So any thought, you know that voice. If you entertain and you engage with it, and if you are intimate with it 24/7, then you know when Jezebel try to knock on your door with a thought. And it says, by her teaching, she misleads my servants into sexual immorality. People think that's physical. No, that's right. Spiritual, baby.
It's spiritual.
That means those thoughts you coming in, if they are opposing and they're not of God, you having sex, you having immorality, intimacy with a thought that's not of God.
That's and it's going to be fruitful, because anytime that it comes together, it's going to be fruitful because it is. And he says fornication. This is not. I think me and my daughter had a conversation, and she was like, "Mom, this generation is so caught up on sex, physical sex, that it's just ridiculous." For a young person to say that has some power to it. But I begin to think that it's just not the young people. It's some folks my age or older.
I just had to block a story on my Facebook. I'm like, good Lord, I just don't. I mean, how did it even show up?
Yeah, so that it's in the King James version, it says to seduce my servants. So the mind comes to seduce you. It comes to steal, kill, and destroy. That's really what the devil is, the thoughts that you're not thinking that are not God's thoughts. It comes to seduce you. And seduce means you're thinking you're going somewhere that you're not actually going. So it's pulling you in. And if you stay there and you begin to study on that, then you're a creator. You begin to create what the seduction is doing.
Right.
So we have to, on a not a day-to-day basis, on a moment-to-moment basis, be mindful of what thoughts are running, because they say 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day are running through your head. This is why we have to go to our heart, because that's not going on in our heart. We got to get it leveled down here, and then we can take it up there and then prophetically speak the truth over the rest of our life.
And you can master your thoughts. You can master and be in control of what you are thinking about 24/7.
Because you have dominion over your land.
It takes work now. And a lot of people don't want to do that. They just want to operate on autopilot.
It didn't take you autopilot to get where you got. So it's not going to take you autopilot to get out of. But the good thing is, if you're in it, you can get out of it. There is no such thing as there's no way out, because God has provided a way of escape for everything that we're in. That means there's always an open door for you to get out. That means there's always a key for you to unlock your prison. That means it's always an opening. So your mindset, your Jezebel mindset would tell you, if you got to do this in order to do this. And if you start believing it, then that's how you do it.
And that seduction is very appealing, especially when your heart is broken.
Yeah.
And you can't, and you're down to you're just depleted spiritually. It's very enticing. It'll be like, all you have to do is drive that car off that bridge and you'll be free from all this pain and worry and suffering. I mean, that's seductive.
Yeah.
Like, wow. But I say but, it's very seductive because it gets
that perfume.
Mm-hmm. And it's very alluring, because when you're hurting and your heart is broken and you're all in your feelings because of the experience that you just had, you want some relief. But might I encourage you who are watching me tonight, if you are experiencing whatever that feeling is, might I encourage you to sit in it for a second. And sit in there, because guess what? You ain't by yourself.
Right.
You are there with Spirit because it wants to show you something. It wants to give you a key to unlock that feeling. And then you get that key and you're able to unlock the door in someone else's pain. See, we get all so caught up in thinking it's all about us. No, you're here on assignment, Jack. You're here to do the work as unto the Lord. You're here to do the work as to whatever it is you agreed to before the foundation of the world. You're under contract. So whatever it is you came, I don't know, whatever it is you came into agreement with God while you're in your mother's womb, y'all had a conversation and you wrote out line by line your experiences of your life. And you incorporate certain disclosures and you incorporate certain agreements about you addressing and dealing with your karma. And healing your soul so that this life you would evolve higher spiritually. So just might I encourage you, when you get that seducing thought to run away from it, say, no, that's okay. I'm not alone. Thank you very much. I am an overcomer because God is with me and I've got the victory.
I have this thing now, and I shared it last week. It's when my mind starts to wander into the mental chatter, I say, don't go in there. And because I say that it instantly changes my mind back to what I'm supposed to be focusing on. So it's going to take you to get a tool that is going to keep you reminded that the place that you're going is not actually real, that it's just a script that somebody's trying to infiltrate in your
Right.
story.
In your story.
And so you are the main character. Stop being an extra in your own story. And allow yourself to change scene by scene, because in order for you to get to the finale of the whole movie, you're going to have to allow the scenes to change. Because if you stay in that same scene, you're never going to get to the end of the movie. So we have to be that energy. Energy can't be destroyed. It can't be created. It just is. And that's that in the book. I began to read the book, and it was talking about that substance that formless substance that can be formed into anything, and that's nothing but God. Some people say, how can you call God a substance? Because he is a substance.
Yep, it's true. You talking about Jay's book, the Science of Getting Rich, that revamped version he did of?
Yes.
You know, yes, that's right. Yeah. And you know, this is what I love about this time that we're in. If you guys would really pay attention, you would see how God really wants us to win and wants us to be victorious and get up out of here. Now, TikTok. Now, think this now. You know I live over there. TikTok. If you keep scrolling enough to things that and spend more time with things you want to watch and hear and learn about, eventually you're telling the algorithm what you choose to listen to, what you choose to watch. So every time that Jezebel thought comes to you just swipe, and then swipe, and then replace it with a thought and a feeling and experience you would like to swipe. Just swipe it. And when you do that, next thing you know, you'll be on that right algorithm, that wavelength, that vibration, where that's all you're going to be experiencing, baby. I'm a living witness.
The only thing we are really responsible for is getting on the rhythm of unconditional love.
Yes.
The rhythm of unconditional love serves with kindness. So when you get on that rhythm, because that's all God did, was he gave and he served, and he gave and he served, and he gave and he served. We're thinking unconditional love is something totally different. It doesn't have anything to do with a feeling. It is getting on the vibrational frequency of God and being a servant and giving with kindness and having compassion. That's the unconditional love. No judgment. I've been watching myself on that. You know how you see somebody with something on, you say, now you know even something as simple as that to remind me of minor judgments. Now, somebody probably looking there and saying, now she knows she didn't need to wear that tonight. But if I'm judging, then somebody's judging me.
Right. Agree.
And so you don't know what the person was thinking when they did that. And it's not your business. Mind your own business.
Mind your own business. And, you know, let's take a look at the latter part of it. He says you are permitting. That means you are allowing those thoughts to teach you that sex sin is not a serious matter, that thinking things that are not of God. And we ain't talking about that sex, the physical act. We're talking about thoughts that are opposing this goes against what God says about you, the God in you that says about you, those edifying uplifting, where it says, okay, to teach my servants that sin is not a serious matter, that missing the mark, that luring and thinking about opposing thoughts.
Yeah.
It's not a serious matter. Oh, yes, it is.
Yes,
because he wants to try to lure and entice you out of
the house. It draws you out of the house, draws you out of your inner being. It draws you out of the power that God has given you.
Your place of safety.
And when he said he gives you a space to repent, to return back to your original way of thinking before you got in this matrix. Most of us have forgotten that. But if it's forgotten, that means it's in your memory.
Right. You just got to recall
and
it.
you just got to pull it back up. So that's one of the most powerful things we have is our memory.
Right.
When a person loses their memory, they get very frustrated because they can't remember. But there's no such thing as you can't remember, because if it's downloaded in you, it can be uploaded. So you have got to stop saying, you know what, I can never remember. You have just created you never remembering.
Right. And I was thinking about that because it says repent means to go back to your original state. So that means if you've been traveling, I guess I'm on this wavelength tonight. You've been traveling on the road, right? And I've done this because there have been times I've been I'll be driving to Mississippi, hot dog and I, and I'll be like, dog, I'm going the wrong way. I drove 20 minutes. That's almost 50 miles. I'm like, oh man. Now I could easily say, oh, that's okay. I'm not even going to Mississippi. I'm going, I'm going here. But no, my destination was that way. Right. So that means I got to turn around, although I don't perceivably lost 20 minutes. But sure enough, I get back on the road of where I'm supposed to go. And I see something that I avoided. See?
Right. And that is a key thing. Another thing I've been working on is thinking I can catch up with time if I'm running late.
No, all you're doing is creating.
Right. You can't catch up with that. And so what you need to recognize, now I'm not saying you are to be late to everywhere you're going, but there are certain times when you are late or when you think you are late, you have just avoided something. Or there is something that's coming your way that you would have missed if you had been on that particular time lane.
All it was the energy getting you back in sync with the flow.
Yes.
So next time you find yourself rushing,
slow down.
Just take a minute and say, wait a minute. Why am I rushing? I have all the time in the world. And when you do that, you're syncing up. You're syncing back up with the flow.
Yeah.
Because you always want to be
realigning. Yeah.
Realigning. You always want to be in the flow of that main thought. Because if you get into that Jezebel thought, Jezebel gonna have you thinking you're late, you're gonna miss this, and when you're doing that, thanks to Jay sharing with us last week, you are competing with your creativity.
Right. So we're creators, we're not
you're not competitors. You shouldn't compete.
Yeah.
And that's what Jezebel and them all represents to me. Said they're competing against the opposing thought force is competing for you,
right,
against God. They competing against the God in you because they want you. They want your thoughts, your energy, because the ultimate objective is to steal, kill, and destroy. Because we are of God. So anything that's against God don't want to have nothing to do with anything that's of God. So I'm gonna take it out. I'm gonna destroy it every way I can, and the way that I can do it is right here.
And so you also think that if it's worth stealing,
all right,
okay, we must say something right. If it's worth stealing,
that's applause for my host of witnesses.
If it's worth stealing, killing, or destroying, it has some worth.
Big time.
And so that's why I was saying I experienced this. I always tell people, if you know your worth, you never have to prove yourself. And I was looking at other people and their success, but not equating it that if they did it, it's available for me.
Right.
But I wasn't seeing it that way. And if God brought it to my attention, that's available. We always think that because somebody else has something, then we have to be a certain thing to be that. Only thing you need is a thought. But with that Jezebel mind, it's going to tell you, you can't have that. You can't do that. You don't have enough money for that. You too big. You too little. Your hair not too long enough. Your hair too short. It will always try to convince you that you're not good enough. And then that puts you in competition with the people that you think are good enough.
Right.
But we're all on the same frequency. We started out the same. Now we done got a little up and down, but we started out the same, but we have to return back to that frequency. That keeps us connected in the energy, and that strengthens us. Is with the connection, as long as we stay connected, we're always going to be strong. But when we start competing and thinking, it's always going to be a break in the situation. And that's what Jezebel was doing to the perfume of Thyatira. That sweet smelling.
Too much good was going on. She was like,
That'll be an interruption in the perfume.
Let me get up in here and tear this up. Because this smelling too much like God. And I need to do this. And that's exactly what the enemy does. Mm-hmm. The thing is that, okay, so nothing good. And I'm standing on this. Until you finally realize that you are enough. Period.
Yes. And that's what I was realizing. You
are enough.
You actually more than enough.
That's how you can get into that space of more.
Yeah. Yes, because all of those names that we have, Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Rapha, God was showing to me those are not his names. Those are your attributes that live within inside of you. So you are more than enough. You are already Jehovah Jireh. You're a provider because you're a creator.
You are.
And so the more that we become intimate with the I ams of God and take them as a marriage, as coming together, then we become that. Because if you don't see that you're good enough or your worth is enough, you can never think that you can be this close to God. You'll always keep looking up and looking out and looking around, and you'll never look into where his actual address is.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Jezebel mind,
and it's up to you all, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, if you're watching. Are you going to continue to lie in the bed and experience sexual immorality with Jezebel?
Your thoughts.
Or are you going to allow yourself to get back in bed with God?
Stop sleeping with the enemy.
Yeah, that's right. That enemy is that those thoughts, those opposing thoughts that are trying to
go to bed with them
and lure you out of your space.
You go to bed with them and you wake up with them. My goal is not to wake up thinking about something that I was thinking about yesterday, the first thing in the morning.
No, and you have to do that. And every night, so you gotta decide on who you're gonna sleep with every night. Who you gonna sleep with? Honey, I've been sleeping with Stuart Wilde and Reverend Ike and Dolores Cannon and anything that's gonna help feed and enrich my soul and fill my heart with joy in knowing who I am, whose I am, and what I'd like to experience.
Yeah. And it's up to you.
Stress and worry and doubt and fear.
So once you make those decisions, and you have to make those decisions, and I'm a firm believer that that's what prayer is having that conversation with yourself and God, the majority, about what it is that you need to do. I've asked him my steps are already ordered. So now I need to consult with him about what that step is. Mm-hmm. Instead of doing trial by error and trying to figure it out and think it out. Okay, God, if you've ordered, not ordering, you've ordered.
It's already done.
My steps. Now give me wisdom to know what the next step is that you've ordered. I don't want to stumble into it. I don't want to fumble into it. I want to be on the mark. I don't want to miss the mark no more. I don't want to sin missing the mark for my life. I've done that long enough. Now it's time to be intentional.
You got to be in tune. How do you do that? Well, what worked for me will work for you. I did all what I knew to do. Meditating, visualizing, staying in that state of joy and peace, resting in peace. That's where I was. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And doing all that I knew to do. Okay.
And
So
that's all you can do. If you
that's
don't
all
know
you
to
can
do it.
and keep my vibration high. So once I did everything I knew I was supposed to do from my perspective, okay, time to get a job doing this. You done got better. You done went through your illness, all this stuff. You don't resolve that karmic debt. You're in a good space. Your mind is right. You realize what everything is happening. You're good to go. You're working. You're putting together your next series for Ride Along. You're doing all this stuff. Now go to the beach and laugh. And that's what I did. So if you keep in flow, your steps will be ordered and things will it'll be like this.
An
Waves,
orchestra, a
waves,
tune, it's a balance.
waves and waves of
Yeah, it's a harmony.
just coming in, and you'll just be like, it's like you're on a surfboard and you're riding that wave, and you go over the wave, and next thing you know, you'd be like, oh wow, for me, thank you, and you're just flowing in and out, and it's supposed to be like that. It's not supposed to be stressful. It's not supposed to be frustrating. Just flow with the waves of God love that's happening for you. Okay, so I wanted to talk about this part. We have a few minutes. And I just lost my train of thought that way. Oh, and the eating of food sacrificed to idols. So, what are you, whatever Jezebel is serving you, if you are engaging in that thought, then you are consuming what she's serving you. So if she's serving you a seductive way out to do this and you're consuming it, that means it's becoming a part of you. You're digesting it, you're taking it in. And that's what consummation is. You take it in, next thing you know, the seed has been planted.
Mm.
And the next thing you know, it's manifested.
And your garden is your mind.
And it's become a part of you.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking about it and then you start to feel it. And then next thing you know, you're sending out that vibration. It's got to manifest.
Has to. It's a seed. It's a seed. And we're always talking about we got a mustard seed of faith. It's not how small the seed is. It's what's in the seed. Do you not recognize the fruit, the branches, the trunk, the leaves, the roots? All of that is inside of a seed, but you cannot see that.
You can't see
And
it.
so faith is about what you can't see, not what you don't need faith while you experiencing what you will to experience. The faith needs to come when you can't see which way to go and it's so dark and you're going to the left and that doesn't work. And you need to stay focused on what's in the seed.
Right.
It's the harvest in the seed.
Because a spirit is trying to teach us to operate from our instinct, our insight, and not
I-N. The best word in the Bible, I-N.
24, 25. We're going to wrap it up with this. As for the rest of you in Thyatira, because there were some people in there wasn't partaking of that. They were all in the same quote unquote church who have not followed this false teaching, deeper truths as they call them, depths of Satan, really. I will ask nothing further of you, just this one thing. Only hold tightly to what you have until I come. Hold on tight, baby. Get ready, because here it comes. Get ready for the blessing to cover your life. Hold on tight now. Hold tightly to what you have. That means everything that you are choosing to stand on. I know who I am. I know that God is for me. I know. Hold on tightly until I come. What's coming? Everything you've been meditating on?
Everything that has been planted is in you has to come out of you. Mm-hmm. And so when God showed that to me, everything that he equipped me with cannot stay in me. That is the pouring out in these last days when you come to your Christ-mindedness, your spirit on all flesh, because everything that God has seeded in you, it has to come out. You are purposed for it to come out. This is a plan. This is a planned birth. Mm-hmm. It has to come out of you. So if you focus on that and you focus on what your soul has been through before it got to you. It knows something to tell you, so you don't have to go back and repeat the same thing over and over. We want our souls, this to be our soul's last trip with these same problems. If it's going to come back with something different. But this is elevation time, graduation time, wake up time, rapture time, harvest time, get up time, be about it time, and work your abracadabra.
Right. I speak. What did I speak? Therefore, I see. What is it? What's
It
happening?
says, I create as I speak,
I
or
create.
it is done as I have spoken.
It is done as I have spoken. Well, there you go. Enough said. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Stop being a fake. Stop walking around saying one thing and thinking another. Because Jezebel, you done spent the night with Jezebel. You done spent the last 20 years sleeping with Jezebel. Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored. Just as raggedy as a mango seed. Come up out of her. Put in the work. Change your bed sheets. Throw the bed out that you've been sleeping with Jezebel with all these years and get you a new spiritual bed where ain't nobody in the bed but you and the God in you and what God says about who you are and whose you are and all those edifying words and those authors that are teaching that were inspired and downloaded with the information that you need in order to be transformed by renewing of your mind. And when you go through that process and do what is necessary and renew your mind, you can rest and you can finally give birth, and you will give birth to everything that you have been imagining, consummating with all those God thoughts. Mm-hmm. So it's time for us to give birth to God things and no longer give birth to Jezebel things, those opposing thoughts, those disruptive experience. No more. No more. No more. Well, co-host, we did it again. We did it again. We done took out Thyatira.
We regained our perfume. Now our smell is a fragrance that's pleasing to God. We restored ourselves back to our original state of being.
Right.
And not trying, but being.
Right. And ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you that, we are on demand. You can just download the app, Stay in Love TV app. It's available on your Android and iOS. If you have a Roku television, you can download the app. You have Amazon Fire Stick and Apple TV. They say it's some type of workstation, whatever. I don't know what it is. I still haven't figured that one out. But we are available everywhere. So and everybody got a phone. So just download the Stay in Love TV app. All these shows are going to be on demand once we wrap up the season for the shows for our summer break. So we encourage you, because this season we're diving into all these churches. These are all your mental states and phases of your spiritual involvement that's going to help to deliver you.
Mm-hmm. If you want to be.
If you want to be. I mean,
it's a choice.
It's a choice. I mean, some people want to stay in jail.
Mm-mm.
Some people want to stay asleep. Some people just want to, stay blind.
It's just familiar territory. And anytime that you make a change, that means you have to be paying attention at all times. Mm-hmm. If it's familiar, you just do it without thinking. Mm-hmm. But you got to put your thoughts back into their place so that you can arrive alive at the place that God has designed for you.
Right. And, we're wrapping it up. So Mental Equation is available on Amazon. It's also available on Stay in Love TV / Today's Michelleology. The great Michelle Massey Washington has penned a series of writings, downloads, if you will, of what God had shared with her as she was having a conversation with him. And it's all about the mind. So if you want to
bestseller, you better get it.
Transform your way of thinking, pick up Mental Equation. You can go to Stay in Love TV / Today's Michelleology, or go right out to Amazon and pick it up. If you want to donate to Michelle's cause, there's her Cash App right there.
I'm good ground. I promise you, I'm good ground.
Yep. So we want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in tonight to Spiritually Speaking and Awakening. We're blowing the roof off the sucker this season because it's our time for us to. We're about to wrap everything up, ladies and gentlemen, and we're leaving artifacts for those of you who are supposed to watch this after we up out of here. But that's okay, because God's coming for you. Because you belong to Him, baby. That's just the way it is. He coming for you. So you can be all in the bed Jezebel if you want to, but guess what? God's coming for you because you belong to Him. I'm serious. He's gonna come for you, baby. All right. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for caring. Thank you for your comments. Social media world. Thank you all for tuning in. We just we're so grateful that we're given this opportunity to be able to impart to you everything that Spirit is sharing with us. I am Vanessa Klinger, your intuitive life strategist and life coach motivator.
And I'm Michelle Washington, your motivator and spiritual evolutionist. Namaste. Join me in the morning at 7 a.m. If you can't get up at 7, replay.
You can catch it on our channel, video on the spirituality channel.
We'll talk about those spells.
We're talking about spells tomorrow, girl. I'm gonna set I gotta get up early. I'm gonna set the clock. I'm gonna be listening to it. I'm gonna be like, yes. I'm telling you, casting spells. It's our time to be delivered from those spells you've been under. So tune in tomorrow, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Stay in Love TV. Namaste, co-host.
Blessings on your week.
Likewise, my love. Stay in love, everybody. Good night.
Stay in Love TV is your production to distribution solution to getting your message seen and heard. Having your own TV show with Stay in Love TV has never been easier than now. Stay in Love TV gives you the power to share your message with the world. Stop watching TV and start being watched on TV. Stay in Love TV offers real-time multicasting, all with one click. This opportunity puts you on the world stage with an audience of over 200 million. In addition to your low monthly subscription fees, you will also receive monthly network coaching and training from the network itself to ensure that before your first show premieres, you are set up for success. We at Stay in Love TV bring over 20 years experience in sales, marketing, advertising, and business development. Stay in Love TV, purposeful entertainment driven by love, empowered with passion, fueled with faith. Go to www.stayinlovetv.com and let's get started.